But we're going to go ahead and go into our panel discussion. And sorry, the slide's a little bit messed up, but we do have two caregiver advocates who are going to provide some of their lived experiences, being caregivers of children who have special healthcare needs. We have Bernie Sandoval and also Craig Brown. Um, we have a few questions, but I'd like to let everyone know if you have any questions you'd like to ask, you're welcome to put it in the chat and maybe we'll get to it at the end of the panel. And if this goes over time, it's totally fine. We can catch up on other things later on, but we do want to highlight and really give time and space for these stories that are going to be shared today, which may be heavy. So again, if you need to step away, you're more than welcome to. And yes, so I'm going to move us right along here. And I just want to make sure, Bernie and Craig, you're there and unmuted, right?
Yeah, does my mic work? Mic check,
Yes.
mic check. Okay, cool.
Yes, awesome. I can hear you. Okay. And Bernie,
Hello. Can you
I
hear me?
will, yes, yeah.
Okay.
And I just want to double check. It's okay if we record this session, right? No,
Yes.
Craig.
Yeah,
Uh,
and Craig did gave the permission.
oh, okay. I just want to double check. I don't know if I can pin you both. Let's see. I can pin Bernie, and if I can add pin to Craig. Okay. Is that okay? You guys can see yourselves?
Yes, I can see myself.
Okay. We'll go ahead and let you both start with an introduction.
Okay. I can start.
Okay.
Uh well, good morning. Good morning to each and every person that's here this morning. Um my name is Bernie Sandoval, and I am a resident of Chinle, Arizona. Um and I'm just thankful to be here. So, but I'll go ahead and introduce myself in Navajo. Yeah, I've been Shay Bernie Sandoval and Shia. Toy head leaning shlon, Twidditch eating bashes chain. Tatna Zani dash che do since the cardiac dash che Tatna Zani dash anale. Do chin lee day a yes a day is a nashado high shagan. Do di iskiaje shinnet de sa dagi shiaj Braden Sandoval, yeah. Braden Owen Sandoval. So Abe and Nutchet, because of him, I have become an advocate for children, and if you want to say for people with a disability. So, and like I said earlier, I'm just thankful to be here this morning, and thank you so much for allowing me to be here as well.
Go ahead. Thank you, Bernie. Craig?
Oh, yeah. Hi, my name is Craig. I currently reside in Kienta. I got kidnapped there. She goes, um, we, I have my nephew. His name is Brandon. Um, Brandon, Brandon is just our family. Um, our family character, like he makes us a family. He that's our family. If I were to say like describe your family, we're like Brandon. So
Mhm.
I think my clans are Torachini, Kintachini, Tabahan, and Ashihan. Um I did provide care for Brandon when I think he was a senior in high school. So from the beginning, when I was in school as well, I used to provide care for Brandon. So every morning, getting him ready, going to school, and then when he'd come back from school, um, those are just kind of like my daily chores. I think for Brandon. Um, yeah, well, thank you guys for bringing me on the panel. Thank you guys for asking. I learned a lot this morning. My sister was also messaging on TikTok saying like she was just giving her input on what Frida was saying. So I we love Brandon. We love Braden. I met Braden. I got a chance to meet Braden. Um, yeah. Thank you guys for having us.
Of course. Thank you both for being willing to be on this panel and share your experiences with this committee. So I'm going to go ahead and go into the first question. And so caregiving can be both rewarding and challenging. What helps you manage day-to-day responsibilities? And either one of you are welcome to start.
Okay, what helps me manage day-to-day responsibilities? Oh, a lot.
Mhm.
Um, I think I think the main for me, the main reason for me to even get up was my reason was for my son. Every day, just getting up, knowing that I had a duty, I had a job to do, I had a responsibility to wake up to. And a lot of times before I started to receive help through the DDD program, a lot of what I did was just solely on my own, just getting up and getting my son out of bed, changing him, clothing him, cleaning him, and then feeding him, and then getting him off to school. And all of that had to be done within an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours before he actually got on the bus. So our days actually started as early as 6:30 sometimes. So but like I said, there's just a lot of ways that I have managed to just prepare. I think the main thing is just preparing, learning as you go at the same time, preparing for the next day,
Mhm.
just getting things ready for the next day. Um, and then just being ahead of your plans. Sometimes plans don't go the way they do, and you have to have an alternate plan. Um, but a lot of it I feel like goes into um the mental part, and of course emotional part, and the physical part of just having to be a caregiver to a person with special needs or developmental delay or something, whatever the case may be, whatever their disability may be. um but I've just learned as I was going, and on top of that, just being a single parent, so a lot of the responsibility was solely put on me. And I can't really pinpoint the exact way to manage. Like, I don't know if you could give me an example of something, or a question maybe that would maybe help you to really to help me understand the question more, and then for you to also understand.
I suppose it could be, what helped you day to day. And I know you had mentioned Braden was your reason for getting
Yeah.
up. And so I think I just want to say I think, that was that was how you managed, making sure that your child was taken care of. And so, but yeah, like, were there any other things that helped you? Because I know a lot of times, we like to put the focus back on our children. Um, but just like, what helped you? Like, I'm gonna say like self-care, but I know you probably didn't have very much time for that. Maybe it was family, kind of taking on some of the daily duties, those kind of things.
Um, I think I just want to say that you're not, as a parent, you're not prepared.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and as I said before, like you pretty much just kind of learn as you go.
Yeah.
And my son, I didn't know he was um not developing the way he was when he was about 6 months old.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was concerning to me. And so I took him to the hospital, and they just told me then, like, just give it a year. Let's give it a year and see where he develops. So we gave it a year, and he was still lacking um developing and all, especially like with sitting up and holding his head up. And um so that's when they further went into getting us to get more tests and things done. And when he was about maybe finally when he was about maybe 2, maybe almost 3 years old, he was then diagnosed with cerebral dysgenesis
Mm-hmm.
and then developmental delay. So during that time is when we were told by his providers um, that he's going to be developing at least 2 years to 10 years behind kids the same age.
Mm-hmm.
So I think from then on, knowing that my child was going to have a disability for the rest of his life, um, we just had to, at the time I was still with his father, we had to learn to just accept it.
Yeah.
And then from doing that, just learning as we go how to care for him here at home, and what we needed to do as far as like physical therapy, and just being involved in whatever the providers suggested to us and for us. At the same time, just trying to use our holistic healing
Mm-hmm.
to find ways to maybe to help him. And we've been to many, 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 and have done so many different ceremonies for him. And so it was just a lot of just learning as we go, until he actually got into the school system.
Mm-hmm.
When he became, when he got to be able to go to kindergarten, pre-K, um, that's when a lot more resources were given to us through the school. What we were doing here at home, the school was able and willing to take over to do that on a daily basis with him. It was, I'm always thankful for the school here in Chinle. They've helped tremendously with my son.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and by doing so and providing all these activities and programs and what need be it for the sake of my son, um is when I'm like, okay, this is the time when I need to stand up, and be an advocate for my son. I need to be his voice. I need to fight for him. I need to know that he's being treated just as equal as any other student, you
Mm-hmm.
know Um, and so by I think a lot of times when you get the support, it makes you want to do more. And that's how I felt when it came to with dealing with the Chinle Elementary School. I'm gonna say that the Chinle Elementary School. Um, and then even the willingness of the teachers that were wanting to have him in his their classroom, and to work with him and setting up his IEP, and they abide by that, and just it was such a wonderful experience to start and to end our education with Chinle Elementary School and Chinle High School. So I still can't really my managing my day with having Braden here was different every day.
Mhm.
Especially I think like I used to say our world revolved around him. Everything he had to be taken care of first before we could make plans for ourselves, or to even to fully be there for my other two children.
Mhm.
That's how much of time we took to taking care of Braden. So, and I truly say that when I do say, my world revolved around my son, and it really did. So there were so many different ways of managing my day every day. Like I said, it was different every day, but just knowing that we had to get him up, get him ready, get him to school, or go to therapy, go to something. There was always something every day.
Mhm.
But I think another one would be just having the compassion for my son, knowing that he needs me to get through his daily routines and his daily life. And then just solely having the utmost patience you could. I mean, I'm serious. There's just, you have to have patience.
Mhm.
And on top of that, just being strong-minded. Um, and of course, in one of the questions, the in the flyer did say, like, talking about, we're going to talk about resilience. I think I finally really figured out and know what resilience really means, and that was all through um, the experience I've had with my son.
Thank you for sharing that, Bernie. And Craig, did you want to also?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I think what also um, was just like another goal to do every day was um, for me helping Brand at the time when I was doing it, helping Brandon get ready because the whole other family members had to go to work, they had to go to school. So also having that helping hand really kind of, I think, helped my sister. And on top of
Mhm.
that, I was kind of getting paid for it. So being there at the end of the day and like working, like doing his laundry because, mom had to go cook dinner or something. So, and also with Bernie, I know that all like she really did say that, or she really, when she says that the whole day evolves around like Brandon, that like that's what you have to do and have to put your whole day to also think about um, your member or you're the person who you're providing for.
Mhm.
But yeah, Bernie, I like Bernie said a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you both for being really open and honest about this. And um, if you need to step away, that's totally fine. But we'll go ahead and move on to the next question.
Okay, next question would be what kinds of activities, programs, or community resources have been helpful to you as caregivers?
um, well, for me, in the beginning, I wasn't.
Oh, is she getting? I think she's getting a call.
Okay.
Well, for Brandon, I know that during the school time, he would of course, they would have classes and do activities there. So all his projects he'd kind of like bring back, and then it was just always like a conversation that we would have, like, what did you do at school today? You know, like what, and then he like whip out his bag and show me. Um, right now, I believe currently I knew he was going to Page, Arizona, where they also provided um like caregiver services for him like during the day. And I remember Lori telling my sister Lori, Brandon's mother, she was telling us that he wanted to, or they were thinking about having him go on the weekends because it's just like another like a thing that they are open to and willing to let him go and like, be adventurous out wherever. And of course sometimes it comes to the point where you really just need a break,
Mm-hmm.
and because you're actually really providing for another human. um some of the words like that we tend to hear too. So I'm also thankful for those activities and programs in Tuba City currently right now. I know that there was a program, I think is still around, the Net Association. He used to go to that. That's how I was getting employed to help Lori with Brandon in the mornings for school. Um, but as far as activities and programs from the community, I don't think there's any here in Tuba City. I don't really know of anything. There's no real, and also I could be wrong. Lori probably knows a lot more resources that are out there that are given to her from, I don't know, like a worker, another worker, but I don't see any out here on the res
Mm-hmm.
currently.
Thank you, Craig. And I know Bernie, I don't see her back on the call just yet, but I know she mentioned that once Brandon started school, that was helpful in getting her additional like the services and resources um that were needed.
I think she's back. So
Oh, she's back. Okay. I can't. Bernie, did you want to answer?
Yeah, I'm sorry. As much as I told my family that I'm going to be in this meeting, someone called and it took me out. So
It's okay.
I had to log back in. But I was just going to say, from the beginning, I wasn't given much information about programs and resources that could help me. Um, I don't know, maybe if it was because of the times we're in. My son was born in 2001. Um, and it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't until my son entered the school system that I started learning about more of the support groups and what other resources that may be out there that could help me. And one of the main one that we were recommended to um, was the DDD program. Even knowing about the DDD program, I was still hesitant to even try to um, be part of the program. The coordinator at the time um, would come to the house and just, like, hey, I'm just here to see if you still would be interested. Like, just kind of, coming by to just try to give me more information. But I think at the same time, I just felt like things are going well. I'm back at work. My son's in school. Our schedule is set. You know what I mean? Like it was set, and I didn't want to have to really worry about anything at the time. So we had a complete set schedule. When I leave work, when I have my break, when I have to go, and this, and I worked for the school too. I was a teacher at the school, so it kind of worked out. It really worked out for me. I was at the same school as Braden, but even with that, like, you know, I knew that I still had a duty and a job with my employment as well. But it did take a while, like I said, a long while actually, until I gave in to giving our coordinator information to see what would be available for my son and I. And so once that started to roll, I still didn't really lean on the DDD program. But I think my main, like I said, everything was going just the way I felt like it was going when we were getting help from the school. So a lot from the beginning of him, his early stage of life or of being in school, the school helped a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So but later on when he got into high school, and then after high school is when I finally really gave in to because that's when I noticed that a lot of just life, myself, things with me. I have two other children, um just trying to be superwoman.
Yeah.
And it was starting to really affect my mentality and my emotional state. And so that's when I knew, okay, I need help. I really need help. And so when we were still part of DDD, they used to help us go to our appointments. If I didn't have a ride, they would provide, you know, a vehicle for us to get transported. Just things like that, where they helped us along the way, providing briefs for my son, diapers for my son, and things like that. They were still always involved. But when I got to this point of my life, I was like, okay, I need help. So I reached out to my coordinator, and she's the one who was like, hey, we have this, we have this, we have this, we have that. What
Mm-hmm.
do you want? I will be here. I will help you. And so I said, okay, well, let's just try the whole um having a provider.
Mm-hmm.
So we got enrolled, and then she came back to us and said, hey, you've been approved. So I'm like, okay, great. So we had to sit down, make a schedule for the provider. Myself, the provider had to be trained, and even in how would you say, in-house training, where she observed and watched what I did and how I took care of my son. We actually ended up with 3 providers. So if one didn't show up, the other one was available. If she wasn't, then another one was available.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that kind of all worked out for us. And my number one provider was actually my sister-in-law, not knowing that she was going to be had applied with respite, not knowing that, or with the program. She became our primary provider. Um, and it's crazy because when I had gone back to work, I went back to work when Braden was about maybe 4 months old, and she used to be my babysitter.
Mm-hmm.
So it just so happened she became his primary provider.
Mm-hmm.
But so having to do that, and then it just started to flow. After a while, she did introduce me to the respite program, where she said, this is a time for you, your time as a parent, as the, you know, this is your time to go and enjoy your time to yourself. So let's try this one. So we applied again, and she came back and told me I was approved. So having a provider come in and then having respite, um at first it was just a lot of like, it was a big change, because I've always been there all the time. And to be able to be given that time for myself, I didn't know how to use it. I didn't know what to do. Sometimes I was here when my provider was here. And just to give a helping hand if I needed to, and she'll be like, "No, go somewhere, leave." Um, so it took a while for me to really get used to that and take advantage of the respite part of the what was being provided.
Mm-hmm.
But so those are two of the main resources that have really helped me with my son,
Mm-hmm.
was having to get providers to come in and then given respite. So and I always thank her, and every time I see her, I thank her all the time. Her name is Linda Leslie. Awesome case manager. Awesome. And on top of that, I always give a lot of props to Freida White as well, the program manager, who has done and gone beyond to make sure that our children with a disability through the program get what is provided. So I thank them so much for that. So, but I know I probably missed some other things, but we can go ahead and go to the next question.
Okay.
I think you both hit the next question, so I'm going to move on. The next question just hit on Navajo Nation services and resources, but I think you all provided, good and well done response to that. So just moving forward, just seeing if you did have to utilize services outside of Navajo Nation. If so, what types of services did you access, and how was that experience different from your previous experiences?
Well, with us, having to go outside of Navajo Nation was a must, only because our local IHS hospitals didn't have a lot of the equipment or even providers that could help as far as like the machines or the um even the knowledge of what needed to be done. So a lot of times from the early stage of my son's disability, we went to Flagstaff Medical Center a lot.
Mhm.
That's where he used to get his MRIs and oh my God. Okay, I'm sorry. Someone's calling again. My mom. Where he used to get his MRIs done, his some of his physical therapy, and then also we used to go to the northern they changed the name, the northern I forget the name. It's been a while. That's where they used to provide, like, if he needed an arm brace, a hand brace, for his leg, things like that, where they used to make those for us. So we went there a lot. And then after he became more into being a teenager in high school years, we started going to the Children's Hospital. Well, we went to the Children's Hospital a lot too in Phoenix. That was, I think, our go-to. If Flagstaff didn't have it, then Phoenix Hospital was always the place to go. Children's Hospital. My son has gone through maybe 4 or 5 different surgeries. And so we went there for that. We went there for um, surgery, of course, for orthopedics, for neurology, for NNE, which is nose and ears. Um, and then later on, he ended up getting a baclofen pump inserted. He got a baclofen pump inserted, so we had to go all the way to Phoenix just to get his refills, which only took 10 minutes.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah, refills only take 10 minutes, and we had to travel to Phoenix at least. First it was once a month, and then as as the dosage would go up, it became to where we were down there at least every 2 months. But only because Flagstaff didn't provide that and Chinle didn't provide that. They just couldn't. And I've even asked, like, would it be possible to train somebody to do this? Would it be possible if the medication or the equipment can be taken to Flagstaff once a month so that we can make a trip there? Something, and they were in the process of trying, they said, but it's just I don't know if we didn't go deeper into that, but I did request that several times because of the travel. For us just to travel from Chinle to Phoenix took us about 8 hours, only because I had to stop and change my son. I had to stop to feed him. I had to stop to, even if he's making a mess, pull out off the road and clean him up. Like, there was just so much we had to do, and so I began traveling with someone that could help me do that so that I was able to keep driving instead of stopping and stopping and stopping. So those are some things that I did, like I said, that I strongly recommended, but I, I I don't think it has been done. But one thing that they did start to do was to bring the people from neurology to come to Chinle once a month. And so we had a doctor, actually, Dr. Johnson, who used to come to Chinle to do that. And then all the other stuff, we still would just meet halfway, which was in Flagstaff. So I think a lot of it's just lack of maybe the skills, the providers that know. There's very little that know how to provide these things for the parents and families that live here on the reservation. And I only say that now because, to be very honest, disability is not of importance here on the reservation, nor is it some in our community, in any community. I think the ones that try to abide by any ADI stuff or just to be in compliance would be the school and sometimes IHS. That's it. It's not of importance. And I say that because I've dealt with it. I've been through it, which is why I've become a sole advocate for my son. From the school system to community wise to even IHS. If I knew that my son was not given the right, maybe, care, I always had something. I always made sure that he was given that care. So but I think it's just the lack of skills. I don't know if it's through funding, whatever the case may be. And then, like I just explained, having to travel, like, that's a lot on us to do. And I think just it would be very great if Flagstaff would get the equipment and things so that we don't have to travel far, if not in our own hospitals here on the reservation.
Thank you, Bernie, for that in-depth picture and, of showing us how, it was for you, that experience. Craig?
I just wanted to say that the only places I really did see getting services from were like from Page with that one program that Brandon was with. And then also they would always take trips to Phoenix. So I honestly didn't really, I'm a few years older than Brandon, but Lori's my older sister. So I really didn't understand like where and when or why they were even traveling because they always had to go to Phoenix for Brandon. So it was just kind of like, Brandon's going to Phoenix again. He might have surgery and he got out of his surgery. Then it was just always like, but maybe that is a good thing. I don't know. I don't really know. I was telling her earlier this morning, I was like, I really don't even know what like Brandon, like, I don't even know how he got sick. I don't know the like proper terms or anything. And I don't even know like what to this day, like what he really has problems with. right now. So I mean, I don't know if it's a good thing or it's a bad thing, but we we just know Brandon. We just know Brandon, I think.
Mm. Yeah. Thank you both for sharing. I think just due to time we can move forward.
Yeah, so again, thank you for sharing that. I know you guys had already mentioned the services that you use within your children's school, or Braden and Brandon's school, but I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to highlight or maybe expand on your experiences with those services.
I think with me, with the school system, like I said, they provided in physical therapy for Braden there in school, and they had people trained. We actually had some of the therapists from the hospital come in and train the they used to call them it would be Braden's aide off of being in. He always had a one-on-one person with him. So she
Mhm.
was trained, and then the teachers that were in the special needs classroom, they were trained as well on how to do certain just simple physical therapy things with him. When he got to high school, the special needs program at the high school, at Chinle High School, at the time when my son was in school, was amazing.
Mhm.
Um, they went beyond to provide him with just even they bought a bike for him. And so he loved this bike. He would go up and down the hallways. The whole school knew when Braden was on his bike. He would ride the bike up and down the hallway and just having a great old time screaming and yelling. And that really helped him keep mobile. They used to even take him outside to ride this bike. Um, so and then other activities that the school just involved him and the classroom and a lot of activities and events that they had, even with homecoming. They had their own for the special needs classroom, their own homecoming king and queen, things like that. They just were so involved, and I think a lot had to do with us parents being involved. Not only was I involved, but I think I kind of opened the doors for other parents to be like, hey, we need to be a voice for our kids. We need to have them be involved. We need to just not exclude them. And one of the questions in there was inclusion. I'm
Mhm.
all about inclusion. My son has been included in everything we have ever done as just my kids and I, as my with my immediate family, with family beyond that, with the community, with the school, like he
Yeah.
was never excluded. And
Mhm.
so
All right. Okay.
and I think that that's what the parents saw. And so we even brought back Special Olympics to Chinle High School. And we were so involved in that. The 6 years my son was in high school, we did that. We brought Special Olympics back. We were involved. It was such a great time. People always say Chinle High School hasn't brought a state title back. But you know what? Our Special Olympics team brought the gold back 2 times.
Wow.
Yes. So I'm always proud of that. We have made a lot of accomplishments with our kids and our special needs, and it was such an exciting time. That's when Braden really learned how to use his wheelchair,
Mhm.
because he we had entered him in the wheelchair race, and he learned how to use his wheelchair because of that. So there was just so much in that, and but yeah, I will go on and on and on. So go ahead. Next question.
And Craig, I just wanted to say, I know you were saying a little bit earlier that, you weren't paying attention like really to what was happening. And I think that goes to show like Brandon's not defined by his disability. Like you
Mm,
said, he's just Brandon.
Yep.
So I feel like you're very valid and being like his uncle and sharing on your experiences and taking care of him and even his mom Lori. Like I definitely would I think that you're just, their support system. So I just wanted to acknowledge that. And I don't know if you wanted to add to this question about any services used within the child's school, or maybe Brandon's been a part of any other events within the school system that you've been a part of.
I really wasn't really there for his school. I only provided for him during but he knows because of school, he knows like so many people in
Oh,
Tuba
okay.
City. He knows so many people in Tuba City, and we
It's
do
with
still talk to like
the
his
nails for the shoes.
Hold on. Hold on.
we okay.
I'm not sure who's unmuted.
Muted.
Okay.
Okay.
So we knew that we know his school teachers from oh my gosh elementary school, and I just wanted to say like he knows people because of school,
Mhm.
and I'm sure like there wasn't a time where there was an issue at school, so I'm sure everything went smooth there as well. So I would just like to thank the whole school system also because I'm sure days were were challenging certain days and some were easy, but yeah, just thankful for that.
Mhm.
Thank you,
Thank
but I'll move forward. Mm, is this one? I think we got.
maybe if you wanted to expand on anything else. I know you had highlighted other things that were needed, but what additional services might be needed on Navajo?
Like, if you had $1 million, what would you do?
$1 billion. Let's make it a billion. Manifest it.
If I had $1 billion to use, I think I would open up a home, a place where our special needs and our children and people with disabilities could go to, a safe place for them to go to provide activities, fun activities, life skill activities, and just to be involved in the community, and to be able to provide them um, a place to where they feel included, where they just feel appreciated, and like they have their own individual, like, to make their choices on maybe plans of working or providing that for them. There's just a lot of ways you can come into, and I think it's just who's able to back you up, and then how much of a voice you are willing to be an advocate, but that if I had that much, if I had that money, I think I know I would.
Thank you, Bernie.
If I had $1 million or $1 billion, I think building something like a rec center and have classes, culture classes, everything, and and it'd be open to everybody, anybody, and it'd be 80/80 proof. She's
Yes.
Thank you both. I think more facilities, for, all of our community members is definitely needed. And definitely for, inclusion and a safe space. I think I love that, Bernie and Craig. Okay. Nina,
Okay, next question would be, do you have any concerns about potential cuts in funding for resources and services?
Yes. um and it's so funny because when I started with DDD, I thought it was the most coolest, awesome thing that they were able to provide for my son and I was to be reimbursed for our travels to our appointments.
Mhm.
They reimbursed us for if we had to stay for hotel. They reimbursed us if we for lunch, anytime we ate, and then gas.
Mm.
And
Mhm.
then and so I probably used it for maybe I'm gonna say a good 2 years, and then it was gone. We were told that they were no longer providing that. And I'm like, why? And I wasn't given a specific answer to why, but that was kind of sad for me because of that. And so, but I understand now, like, I'm not all into the whole budgets and how much they need and what, I'm pretty sure that it's a lot because we there's a lot of things that we as providers, caregivers, as even patients would love, but I know that it's always about what can be provided, the funding and all that. So for those fundings to be cut, me coming from a parent as a caregiver, um, it goes back to us feeling like we're not included. Just like our kids sometimes feel they're not included.
Right.
In a sense, we're not of as important as a road being fixed. We're not as important as having to have delegates, you know? That's
Mhm.
what it's just like it just makes for me as a parent, it would just make me feel like we don't matter.
Mhm.
That these we're not giving these fundings as much as another program would because we're less important.
Mhm.
And I feel like that shouldn't be the case. I feel like the case should be to where what's really needed and what should be provided. And the reason why I say that too is because like it all goes back into a lot of like our traditional aspects of life. If we respect our elders and their teachings and all, then why not we go back and really listen to the stories of about our special needs children.
Mhm.
Do we would do there's a they're part of our history. And so there's just so many you could talk about and discuss on that. But I think that if funding is um, cut, then I know some of the parents that are relying on the respite and having providers, it's going to be devastating.
Mhm.
So I hope that it doesn't happen. Um, and just pray that that we continue to get the services that are being provided right now and more, if anything.
Yeah, I think if looking and seeking out more funding sources, that'd be really nice. But as I don't really get to see a lot of like the funding side of it also. I guess and I don't actually look for it as well, which is probably bad on my part. But it's gonna be not it's not gonna go as well as right now, I think.
Mhm.
Thank you both for that insight, and definitely all the concerns are valid, Bernie. So thank you for sharing, and Craig as well. Moving forward, I think we can move to the last question. So I can take it. So what advice would you give to other caregivers who may be starting a similar journey?
Go for it, Craig.
I was just thinking when I leaned back, I was just thinking that um you have to have a mindset of you're not only helping this member, you're not also helping this, I guess you could say patient as well. You're not also helping, you're helping the family. You're helping you. I think being a caregiver, as you're putting yourself in a situation where you're also being involved as a family member. You're not just going to be shoved in a corner. You're going to have to be active. You're going to have to be active, like motivate, because you don't want to have your member to be mistreated or anything. So you have to be their voice. You have to be their extra hand, their sight. So please just go in and have a mindset of being a good advocate and being a good provider, as far as going in with the intentions of you're doing good for another human being. You're not only doing it for yourself, or you're not only helping yourself out in your current situation, but you're also helping another human.
Mhm.
So that's what I think
Yeah.
my advice would.
Thank you, Craig. Yeah, just be a good relative, you know.
Okay. Well, am I on camera? Does it say that or?
Yeah.
Okay. I just wondered because I was like, okay. Well, for me, I think one piece of advice I would give to other caregivers is to never be afraid to ask questions and to seek out resources. You know, in the beginning, like I said, I didn't always receive information about programs or supports systems that were available for my son and I, only because I felt like the responsibility was solely on me. This is my child. This is my responsibility,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and and a lot of times I had to learn and search for those resources, sometimes on my own. But then I'm also thankful that Linda was very persistent. um, but once I started asking questions and connecting with the schools and the healthcare providers and the programs like DDD, it seemed to have opened doors to for me and for the support and the opportunities that were there for not only for well for my son to begin with, but after a while for me as well, as a parent, as a caregiver. And so I would also encourage caregivers to be involved in every aspect of their child's life. I feel like that's very important, um, in their education, especially in their therapy and their daily growth.
Mm-hmm.
So you as a caregiver, as a parent, like your presence and your patience and your advocacy, it makes a big difference. It really does. So when I feel like when your child, though they have a disability, we may not think that they don't know, but they're smart. They know a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And so when they see that the support and love is consistent and it's there, I feel like it builds a lot of like their confidence and it helps them to feel like they truly belong in this world,
Yes.
you know, and not and this goes for any child, not, you know, but I'm speaking as a child to with a disability. And I feel like also another important thing is to give yourself grace.
Mm-hmm.
I had to really learn that as a parent,
Yeah.
you know, and being a caregiver can be overwhelming at times, very overwhelming. But there will be moments where you feel like you have to be your own support system. And I've done that so many times, you know, but to always remember that you're doing your best. Like I said from the beginning, this was not something that you were prepared for. And having to learn, having to have a child with a disability and learning as you go, you know, you're doing your best. And I feel like to any parent out there, your dedication really matters.
Mhm.
It really does. And lastly, I would probably tell parents, other caregivers, to don't lose hope. Even for our people that Freida and Linda and people that work with programs out there to advocate for our parents and our children, like, don't lose hope.
Mhm.
I feel like progress not always happens quickly. It doesn't, but every small step forward is always meaningful
Mhm.
in any case, even with the two of you, everyone that's a part of this meeting today.
Mhm.
And to really celebrate every moment
Mhm.
that you have with anyone that has special needs. And always to remember that you are loved, that your love and your patience and determination as a caregiver, if anything, is powerful.
Mhm.
And I say that and I say all of that out of heart
Mhm.
and in honor of my son.
Mhm.
This month has been very, very emotionally hard for me. My
Mhm.
son just had his birthday March 1st. And last year, March 25th, I lost my son.
Mhm.
And through my son, I will continue to be an advocate for those that need it.
Mhm.
I know like I said, my life revolved around my son, and I don't regret not one bit of it. My life has changed totally different with him not being here. I'm doing my best to get used to it.
Mhm.
And but I know that I did all I could for my son. I knew that I provided and I was a voice for him, and he lived the best life anyone could possibly live. So it was such an honor.
Mhm.
It's such an honor to be able to continue to speak on behalf of my son. And like I said, I made a promise to myself that I will continue to live my life and be an advocate and to speak and still be my son's voice in honor of him.
Mhm.
So thank you for allowing me to be a part of this today. And not only is it helpful, but it's also healing for me.
Mhm.
So I thank you.
Wow. I just like to, wrap up here and how can you go after that, right? You guys did amazing and thank you for both to our panelists, Craig and Bernie, for sharing their stories, their personal lived experiences. I just want to keep in mind that everyone's experiences are different, in the way they go about their loved one and caring for them and their relatives. So I just want to thank them for being here, sharing their stories, and help bring awareness to um, this efforts and this important topic and highlight the importance of, building strong support systems within our families for children with special healthcare needs or, differently abled abilities. We, the team here, I want to speak for Amber Rose and Nina, but we deeply appreciate your time, the courage in sharing and the work you do every day for your families and other families as well. And just please take care of yourselves. And we are praying for you. And yeah, and yeah, I'm also.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And Craig and Bernie, if you do want to put your contact information in the chat, for those who, want to reach out, definitely. Craig did put his Brandon's TikTok on in the chat. So yeah, definitely support Brandon and his, efforts
Yeah,
of
Brandon's in San Clemente right now, and he's probably going to the beach today. He went to the fashion district, and he didn't know what he's doing there, but his mom got some sewing material, so that was a pretty cool experience for him to go to. So go check out his journey. He's on TikTok right there.
Oh.
So I do want to just mention real quick, um, so we are doing the update to the 2025 Maternal and Child Health Needs Assessment for Navajo, and because for the 2020 report, we weren't able to get, I guess, reliable data for disability among our children and youth on Navajo, we did decide to convene a virtual like listening session with families who have children with special needs, and they echo everything that you had said, Bernie and Craig. Kind of lacking local support and resources. They did, focus a lot on their children when we're asking questions about themselves. They did highlight there are limited access to specialized services on the Navajo Nation. They were worried about funding, and then also they talked about needing a wraparound facility on Navajo for children with special needs and their families. So, a lot of this, we'll be reporting back their feedback within this report that should be out. I'm gonna say April. Um, so I really do appreciate your vulnerability, the honest, being, honest with us and opening up to us. Yeah.
Mhm. Um, Thank you both. Just moving forward with our slides, we weren't able to do announcements. So if any other programs or organizations on the call hoping, to share their information, please, yeah, put it in the chat or also email Amber Rose, Nina, or I. We'll definitely send that out with our follow-up email to the committee. Yeah. And just a little brief project update. Nina, I don't know if you want to share um, about the podcast, hopefully. But I did want to show you my slide I created about, just, um, yeah. So please send us those announcements. Project update. Just letting you know about our Healthy Navajo F podcast. And here's the QR code to scan to listen to all the other range of topics we have on there, like mental health, postpartum, tobacco, and so much more. And also, if you do have any ideas for topics that we should be covering, please message us and we'll try to get those coordinated and recorded. But Nina, did you want to shout out the new upcoming episode? Oh no, she's having technical difficulties. Um,
I don't see her.
okay.
It's blowing in Tuba City. She's having trouble.
FYI,
Real.
we recorded a fire safety episode, so we're hoping to release that soon. So please check out our social media for those updates. For the update, yeah, they'll be here. Navajo Maternal and Child Health Project on Facebook and Instagram, our Navajo MCH, and then our Buzzsprout and podcasts are available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts at the Healthy Navajo Families Podcast. And then just before we sign off, just keep a little tidbit. Our next meeting is scheduled for April 3rd. The meeting eval will be sent out if it doesn't pop up at the end of this meeting. There were some technical difficulties that came up